You know what made me think is a scene where a tornado kills someone is in Man of Steel.
Oh, yes.
His human father
Yes.
dies in a tornado after he's had that conversation of like, even if you can save someone, it's more important that you don't. And he's at that moment where he could go and save him, but Kevin Costner's like,
Yeah.
and he loses him.
Yeah, good. Very good.
That came to mind.
Yeah.
Cut to Twisters.
Yes.
This film shares...
And by the way, clear in a boardroom, they just spent, what IPs don't we have? And they, wait, what if we
just ship it?
Brilliant.
Twisters shares a font with the original film and the name of the technology of the thing.
Can I just say, before you explain the whole thing, so the very first scene of Twisters, it's Daisy Edgar-Jones and her crew, and they're sort of explaining their tech. And she has Dorothy there. And obviously Dorothy, because of Wizard of Oz, because what happens in the Wizard of Oz? Tornado, it's a Twister anime, and there are actual other Wizard of Oz references in Twisters. But she has the technology there with the bits in it. And I actually felt that inclusion, although they're trying to be deliberate and be like, yes, it's Twister. For me, I was just thinking, oh, so is this in the same time? Are we?
Yeah, because they looked at photos, and there's a sense of legacy to this idea of chasing storms.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I ever really
They could have not
myself
included Dorothy. It didn't really matter.
I wonder if there was something and they thought, fuck it, cut it out.
Yeah, maybe they just thought people were getting a bit tired of legacy sequels. We don't need to get Helen Hunt
like a
back for
Ghostbusters Afterlife or whatever it
Yeah,
is. Like you
it's
drag
done.
them back. Anyway, Twisters, set in modern day. As you said, you got Daisy Edgar-Jones' character who, in the opening scene, goes out with her gang of friends. And what do? They are young, enthusiastic storm chasers. And they look to throw stuff into storms to better understand them.
Meteorologists at heart. Really.
Meteorologists at heart. They're really smart. And there's this wonderful sense of adventure. They go out in these kitted cars and these trucks with all the gadgets. And there's this huge thrill and this rush and chasing after storms. After chasing a particular storm is bigger than they thought it was. It's a Category 5 or whatever.
EF5.
EF5. You've got a very Top Gun Maverick. Not the G18s. We can't possibly do that. This new scale of new scale of consequence that we're introduced to in this film. There's a horrible tragedy. As a tornado is much bigger than they could have imagined. And we cut 5 years into the future. Daisy Edgar-Jones' character, whose name is Kate, is actually resigned to a desk job. Still, looking at tornadoes, but instead she is looking at computers. She's a graph. And she's actually an expert on meteorology. She's one of the...
On the surface, seems to be doing very well professionally.
You know what? I thought she had a really great job.
Great suit.
Still doing the things that she loved. I'm sure that New York office job paid good money.
Absolutely.
She's got a specific skill.
Yeah.
In a very high-end city. She's making a comfortable six figures.
Yeah, she's not on her last leg.
There's even this moment where this one expert at the desk is like, I'm not sure. I think that's going to be a thing. And she just takes one look at it and goes, no, that's nothing. Please, I'm an expert. She gets dragged back into Oklahoma by an old friend of ours, played by Anthony Ramos, called Javi, who actually now has this entire business tracking down Twister tornadoes. But also, since then, is this growing community of Twister tornado enthusiasts. Also, Tyler, played by Glenn Powell, who is kind of like a Twister Tornado social media Jake Paul, who has like a team of vloggers, very charismatic, very loud, has this amazing kitted out truck with, he drills his car into the soil, he can fire rockets and fireworks. They are very sort of cowboy, they like to ride into the tornado, throw fireworks up into it, and it becomes this manic chase to find the biggest tornado. But Javi actually,
that's what I just want to say is interesting because they've flipped the antagonizing force from the original Twister.
Nice,
so in Twisters, them with Daisy Edgar-Jones and Javi with the high tech, they're the protagonists.
Yes.
And it's Glenn Powell with his kind of ragtag group of people who are the antagonizing force.
Yes.
Kind of flip it around.
They seem like just a bunch of degenerate hillbillies, but there's more to them than meets the eye. There's obviously this quest that we're going to get the once-in-a-generation storm. There's a sense of urgency. We need to understand how tornadoes work. We need to scan them. Anthony Ramos' character has this theory that if he can put sensors on 3 different sides of an active tornado, they can get an accurate scan. He can also find ways to stop it. Kind of like a cloud seeding, but more complicated. You know about cloud seeding? You put dust into the clouds and it forms rain droplets. You can make it rain.
Oh, yeah,
It's kind of like they want to do that with tornadoes, but more sciencey. And of course, we end up right at the edge of the most dangerous Twister tornadoes. There's friendships that are made, people that are lost. It's a big disaster film set. You can't take the home out of Oklahoma.
Oh, and they'll let you know that with
They'll
a
let
few
you
good
know
country
that.
songs.
George, Twisters. Well, how'd you get on with it?
I think it's pretty solid, actually. I mean, I was quite excited. I think it's pretty solid. I would say that on the one hand, it's like elevated by great set. As you would expect, it delivers the set pieces.
Tornadoes look great.
The tornadoes look great. They are amazing. Because when I watched Twister, my one takeaway when I finished it was, yeah, this film needs to be remade now with better computer graphics.
Yeah.
Great set pieces. That absolutely delivers it. Great sound design. You really are scared of this faceless, beingless threat. It's elevated by very charismatic performances, particularly from Glenn Powell. I think Kate as a character, is kind of suffering from tragedy and grief. So she's a little bit more reserved, but still very, very compelling character.
Yes, yeah.
Anthony Ramos, great as well. And I like the fact that it's not this kind of man-woman dichotomy between him and between Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones. It's like Anthony Ramos is there as well. And it's the three of them on the poster. It's like a trio. All of them have different motives. All of them are kind of approaching this tornado in different ways. So I think that elevates it. I think what kind of lets it down is very generic dialogue. And a little bit of a plodding pace now and then. And I think that we've lost the slight campy charm of the 90s one, and we've replaced it with like slightly over-sincere, 2020s approach to things. And I understand what they're going for. It's directed by, is it Lee Isaac Chung, who directed Minari, and it's got a slightly more realistic kind of approach to it. But I think that can kind of bring it down a little bit. So, but in between the highs and the lows, and in the middle, you've got great set pieces. I thought it was fine and enjoyable, and when it delivered. But yeah,
I could really see the Cruz Krasinski fingerprint.
Yeah, so
the Joseph Krasinski story by Joseph Krasinski. Thank you, and it's produced by Spielberg. But I think Cruz has had something to do with it. But don't quote me on it.
Spielberg exec produced the original Twisters, and there's a related because Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park, the novel Jurassic Park, actually co-wrote the screenplay for Twister. So it's based on the kind of thing. So, but Spielberg carries forward is exec producing Twisters, and story by Joseph Kosinski.
And I can see that fingerprint, and I can see the some of the DNA of Top Gun Maverick, and the elements of that work. I think are trying to be applied to this. You've got a Maverick character, someone who's lost something. Let's explain the things you've never heard of that now have a spectacle and a scale. But I don't think it gets to the same fun highs as Top Gun Maverick did. I agree. I think the Twisters, when they come, are great. They deliver. If you're going to see it, just like George with Twister, I think the big screen is the place to do it. The dialogue did let me down a bit, and I think if I'm honest, there were moments in between the Twisters where I was bored, and I think you know what's usually I sometimes complain about films about not giving me enough things to care about, or not inviting. They don't bring me many things so that I can go, oh, there are the stakes. I almost think this film had too many times. It was trying to tell you, hey, this really matters. Yeah. Or hey, people can die out there. And these are real people who, and it just didn't convince me for a lot of it. So my interest hovered at a 5 out of 10 for a lot of it. But that being said, the Twisters do deliver. I just thought it was a little bit mediocre.
Yeah, I think for me, what I would love to see of a film like this, and a bit like the original does as well, is that it should be this feeling of a chase, and that the sequences of events really interlink one after the other.
Yes.
So it should be like, we're chasing the tornado, that didn't work, okay, we're on to the next thing, and it's this kind of really tightly choreographed sequence of events, because like the original, it takes place over a very short period of time, like maybe a day, 3 days, maybe a week, this one. But the thing is, you get with this, it's like, big set piece, and then tornado's over, and we're just going to go off and talk for a bit.
Yeah.
And then when that gets a bit slow, they go, oh, there's a tornado here. Yeah. Oh, no.
It's the biggest we've ever seen. It's the storm of a generation.
And then we'll just go back to, when that's over, we'll have a few more scenes of dialogue and talking. And there's a few scenes at the kind of like, fourth act, when the characters are a bit low, between Daisy Edgar-Jones and Glenn Powell, where I was just like, oh, we're still doing it. We've all heard this scene before in different films. Yeah. Where one person says, but why don't you do this? But why don't you do this? And they go, no, because then I say something really loud. And everyone goes quiet. That's why. Because that's something in my past.
That's the motivation behind my character this entire time.
Oh, I see. And
there's more depth to you.
Yeah, I was hoping, because for what I like about both films is that they're about smart people, intelligent people, really trying to engage their intellect and solve an issue. Yeah. I kind of wish it had that edge more.
Yeah, I like what you said about the tornadoes themselves, which obviously they are disparate events, but like them not feeling as connected as you'd want. There was one moment towards the end when like it's the big tornado, and one of the scenes takes place in a cinema as the entire thing is falling around them, and that was really meta because like the camera's looking at the screen in the cinema, and I'm in the cinema. I was like, very immersive, but it's okay. I will say Glenn Powell is wildly charismatic and handsome and charming.
There is a bit where he steps out on his veranda and it's pouring with rain in Oklahoma, and he's in a tight white shirt with some lovely boot-cut denim jeans, and he just puts his...
just before he went out, he was doing some push-ups, he was getting the pump.
Puts his cowboy hat straight on, a cowboy hat that looks like it's never been worn before because it's an immaculate white colour, puts on, and he just strides over to his pickup truck.
You'd have a jacket, you'd have a denim jacket, you'd just... He dressed great, lovely denim shirts and jeans, and
it's got. I will say,
it actually reminds me of Tom Cruise. I said this to you yesterday. A lot of the way in which he speaks and the looks and the half smiles is Cruisian.
I did actually think he's got real. There is something sort of nostalgic and exciting about his potential.
Old school movie star.
His voice is sometimes as beautifully gravelly as Clooney's. Yes. And he has a kind of Cruise Pitt element. And I said to you, he's kind of like what Chris Evans probably could have been if he hadn't been Captain America.
Yeah.
If Chris Evans hadn't been bottled into Captain America, he's got the same kind of sexy man voice. Slightly more charismatic, I think.
Yeah. I think he needs a role that, like a sort of Harrison Ford scale role of like, the Han Solo or Indiana Jones. The way that sort of put him into the mainstream pop culture echelon for him to have really taken off. I'm not saying he's doing badly. No. I mean that like he could get a role that starts to really define him.
He would have been like in an Uncharted or something like that.
He'd be a great Nathan Drake. Yeah. He'd be a great Nathan Drake.
Yeah, they always come too late. And also, I said this when we left, but Daisy Edgar-Jones would also probably made a good Tomb Raider. Yeah. There's lots of shots in her in this movie in her little tank top and combat things in her combat boots, and I'm just like...
I used to say Chris Evans would make a great Nathan Drake.
Oh, well, there you go. I think Glenn Powell's got a little bit more of a twinkly look in his eye.
Really good.
I will say that what's also quite nice about the film is that there is a nice supporting cast of indie up-and-coming actors. So there's the guy from Nope, I believe, who's in it, who's the blonde-haired guy. There's also Sacha Lane, Katie O'Brien, who's in Love Lies Bleeding.
David Corenswet,
who would soon be Superman. Yeah. He's in it, and it's quite nice just to be surrounded by proper talent. Daryl McCormack, Kiernan Shipka, they all kind of just turn up, and that's nice to have that there. But I agree. I was hoping that this could kind of. The thing is with disaster movies is they are kind of like inherently a bit dumb because they're always there to serve the spectacle, and characters meant to be second. And I feel like I wanted this film to not only deliver the spectacle, but somehow match the kind of you could deliver the characters in a way where it doesn't seem forced. But I felt like they were really trying to deliver a character drama first.
I got a bit bored.
Yeah, it just, you know what it is. It just didn't quite.
And almost like
you can hear in the way we're talking about it. There's not really that much action to give.
I think if you went to saw it, you wouldn't have a bad time. And it was almost something like when the final storm comes, which isn't a spoiler, and it's one of the biggest I've ever seen. I almost at one point thought, did it not evolve? Did it not have its second form? Was there not a twist to this final, to this twister? Like it was just bigger, but could we have played with, I don't know what it is.
Well, then they turn around and there's another twister.
Or give me something absolutely unbelievable, bigger than I could have imagined for this with all the bells and whistles.
There's also something a little bit anticlimactic with how a tornado ends.
It goes like,
and then just suddenly everything's
fine. Nothing happened. Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay. There's no roar. It just sort of goes
explosion,
sneezes away.
It just sort of goes. Well, let's go home, folks. Thanks. Look at all this mess. But yeah, that's Twisters, guys. If you've seen it. Not bad. Let us know what you think. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your reviews. Send them in to hello@popculturepodcast.com, or if you support us on the VIP tier on Patreon, you can have priority access to get your email read out on the show.